So Wendy, you referred to me, I know that you're in our program where you're getting treatment for cocaine addiction, and we're here to do counseling. So what is it that you're wanting to work on?
Well, I guess I've been clean for a while now, and I know you just feel a little overwhelmed. There's thinking a lot of random things, and I don't know, it's been a little difficult for me.
Okay. So how long have you been clean? Is it like a month, 2 months?
3 months.
3 months? Okay. Do you mind? I'm going to just make some notes here. Okay, so 3 months. And what are some of the thoughts that you're having?
Well, I was trying to keep myself busy, to not think about the craving, and not think about going to my dealer's house and take drive, do different routes to avoid it.
That's good.
But it's just lately I got a job and it appeared to be I've been doing all right, but I don't know, it's just I've increased my hours, and I need the hours. I need to be able to take care of myself, but at the same time I just feel like it's a little too much. Been getting to work late a little bit, and I just, the other day I just happened to drive by my dealer's house. I didn't stop by, but I drove by.
So you had been using alternate routes, and then now you found yourself driving that way?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you say, you had said before that you feel overwhelmed, is it just the work aspect that's leading to feeling overwhelmed, or?
Well, it's everything. It's, my family asking me constantly where I'm at, what I'm doing, and then my hours have been increased, and I haven't been able to spend as much time with my kids, and so it's finding babysitters to, take care of the kids, and then paying them the extra time, and it just seems to be a lot of things I have to take care of at once.
And who are your family supports? What relationships are those?
Well, I do have a best friend, and my parents sometimes they're there, but I mean, they're getting aged, they're getting to the old age, and they need to take care of their health, and I understand that, so it's just, I don't want to worry them with my problems, and I try to take care of them as much as I can and be there for them. So and I'm not very close to my brothers and sisters. I don't talk to them very often. So it's just kind of me and my kids.
Right. And your best friend, she?
She's in a different town. I mean, all my old friends were, people I used to use with, so I've tried to stay away from them and, not fall into the same old habits.
Okay.
But, I mean...
And your best friend you used to use with her?
No, she was just a friend from, when I was younger, and was always, kind of been there in and out. But, I mean, she was in a different town, so we haven't really seen each other, I'd say probably a good year.
Oh, okay. Is she someone that you feel like you could reach out to and reconnect with?
Yeah, I mean, I'll text her once in a while, and I know she's married and, has her family going on, and so I try not to be, intruding.
Okay. So just a couple of thoughts that I'm having, and we'll have several sessions over the next couple of months where we'll be able to work on this. But one thing that I hear from you is that you don't have a lot of connections, like positive connections. Like you have your family and stuff, but it can also be overwhelming because they have this expectation on you. You're not really able to kind of be yourself. They're wanting you to just make sure you're okay, but...
Yeah, my parents, my mom's calling me, how are you, what are you doing, how are the kids, and, just take care of, paying your rent on time and stuff, and, and my dad, he doesn't say much, he kind of stays out of my life, but my mom, she's pretty much on top of me, and then when I talk to my brothers or sisters, they're just kind of skeptical, I'm pretty sure, they doubt that I'm actually staying clean and not using, so I don't know, it's hard.
Okay. Because I think it's a good coping skill to not speak with people that much that are skeptical of you if they're not a support, you know. So like you were saying, you didn't speak with your brothers and sisters very much. You know, I think that's okay for right now. Because if you're already feeling overwhelmed, why add more of that overwhelmed feeling on you? So I think you're doing a good job with that by limiting that. You know, your parents, I'm not sure that you can cut them out of your life or anything like that. But I wanted to focus on your friend that you've not used with, even though she's in a different town. I think it would be really important, if you feel like it would be appropriate, to maybe have a conversation with her and reconnect, and see if you can kind of have, even if it's by phone, just that relationship with her by phone, maybe once a week, where you just kind of check in and kind of, you know, you're able to just be real. Like, I struggled, I did this with, I drove by the house, or I did this. She's not your counselor, she's not your sponsor, she's just your friend, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think, I guess, you know, I don't know, it's just that I feel like she has a lot going on in her life, you know, she has a marriage, you know, and she has her own problems, you know. I think if I remember, I haven't really asked her, I haven't really talked to her about her life, but as far as I know, she lives with her parents, and so I'm pretty sure that's a struggle for her too. I mean, I lived with my parents, and it was not very fun. Right. So I guess, you know, I don't know, I just don't want to be an intruder.
But do you think that she could use a friend to talk about those problems, and so that could be a way where you guys could reconnect and be there for each other?
Yeah, I mean, when we
just
do talk
via phone, you know.
Yeah, when we do text and we do talk, you know, we do have a good time. We'll laugh and we'll joke around, give each other some type of, you know, inspiration. And I mean, the times that we do talk, we don't talk very often, but when we do, I mean, I usually do have a good time. We're just kind of just laughing in our texts, or once in a while. It's more, I guess it's just easier I feel like it's easier to text her because I don't know her schedule. So it's like,
then she can answer when she has time to answer. Yeah. And I think that's fine if that's what the communication you guys have. I'm just encouraging you, if you feel like she's someone you can reach out to, try to do it every week, because it sounds like you get a lot out of that relationship, even if it's just supporting her, you know, and knowing that someone else is struggling in their life, even though they have happy things and they have good things. But having that connection with her would be really good, and maybe just being honest. You know, I don't know how deep you've gone with talking to her about your addiction and things like that, but that might, if you haven't introduced it, that might be something to introduce into the conversation. Just to,
I don't know if I want to do that, because I mean, we've been good friends. I've known her since I was a kid, and you know, and I just don't want to lose her friendship.
Do you really think she would not be your friend anymore if she knew that?
I don't know.
Okay. So I would say take it at this point, let's leave it at that, just taking that as far as you want. Whether you're going to disclose your use or not, knowing that you need, you know, you want to be there for her like you have been, but you also need someone to be there for you, and it's a positive person. Because right now, at this point in your recovery, connections are really important. And I think we can address that with her, that topic in a later session, as far as should you disclose that or not. But I think right now it's a really great connection. Yeah. I did want to talk about, I'm sorry, what? I feel like I cut you off.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. It's just I feel like I don't want to disappoint her.
Right. So she's kind of that one person out there that you feel like you haven't disappointed?
Yeah, not yet. I mean, I've heard my parents, my brothers, I mean, there's a reason why I don't talk to my family. And, you know, all my old friends, I mean, either they're using or in recovery or etc. But, you know, I guess I've come this far to understand that they're not healthy for me.
Right.
And so I kind of find myself lonely.
Mm-hmm.
It was just me and my kids. And, you know, so I think maybe that's why I decided to get more hours of work, to kind of keep myself busy and thinking I can, do this and, the cravings, and it's just, it's all jumbled in my head right now.
Right, right. Well, I think that some of the things that you are doing are good, with reaching out to your friend, and if you can do that every week, I think that'll be good. As far as, adding in work hours to keep yourself busy, it sounds like that was a good idea at one point, and then now it's kind of backfiring where to work more hours, you have to pay more babysitting, right?
Yeah.
And then you have more stress at work because you're there longer.
Yeah, it's just like my kids, I don't see my kids as much, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, I feel like it's a lot.
When do you find that you're having, you are having the cravings, or?
Well, I guess I start thinking about, I start feeling like overwhelmed, and I guess towards the afternoon, evening shifts. Because I know my kids, I start thinking, okay, they have to wake up tomorrow, they go to school, so I have to, pick them up on time. They don't go to bed late, and, get them ready for the next day. And then I have to get myself ready for the next day, make sure everything's, okay. And then I just start thinking all that. And then I think about I still have to close, the store, and I got to do other things before I leave, because if I don't, then I lose my job. And then I try to do everything, as fast as I possibly can, so that way I have enough time to pick up my kids, but then get them in time in the home to, not get enough sleep. And so then I find myself just kind of laying in bed, restless, and just tossing and turning. And, that's kind of, I think, the other day too, like I said, I picked up my kids late, because it's just driving, and then I just was on the street with my dealer and passed his house, and I didn't think much, I just passed it, and I was like, But I just went to pick up my kids.
Yeah. Okay. And are there other shifts that you can choose to get, or?
I haven't really talked to my the manager that's there. I just they ask me to do something, and I just kind of go with it. Because I used to be really confrontational. I wouldn't want to take anybody's crap, and so I've kind of just learned to keep my mouth shut. And so when they asked me to take more hours so I can cover the evening shift, because I was originally in the morning shift, and then they asked me to take the evening shift because it meant an increase in pay, but a couple more hours, and I said, sure. Just, doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
So do you feel like you're not able, it sounds like you feel like you're not able to voice your concerns because you're afraid you're going to get confrontational? Is that what I'm?
Yeah, I just don't want them. I just don't want them. I just don't want to get mad or get upset, because that was one of my things that would lead me to getting going out and just hanging out with my friends. I would just get mad, and I just wanted to get away from everybody and everything that was making me mad. So I would go hang out with my friends, and eventually we'd end up just having fun to, like, we'll get you off of, don't worry about it, you're mad, we're helping me. And so that's when we just end up, partying, etc. And it's just started using. So I knew that getting mad was one of the things that would lead me to my old friends, because I just wanted to get away, I didn't want to think about it, and wanted to just relax.
Okay. So, I guess a couple of thoughts that I have on that is that probably to help with the schedule at night, you're going to need to think about how you would talk to your boss about your schedule. Because it sounds like, the most important thing, right, is for you to stay clean. So if you lose that, then it doesn't matter the hours that you have at work and things like that. And so I think that if we don't have to do it today, but at a different time, or we can do it today, that's probably got to be addressed, and you've got to work through how you would talk to your boss about, this is the schedule I actually need because I have children, and you know, or you're going to have to make arrangements for daycare, for babysitting, where someone can maybe come into your house and help get your kids to bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've got to cut one or the other out, because it sounds like you're stressed at work because you're not saying what you need to say, and then it causes stress at home. And then ultimately you're the one that's laying in bed at night or the afternoon and evening, and you know, when you're saying you have cravings in the afternoon or evening, and then that leaves you restless at night, you know, something's got to give. So out of that circle, what do you think would be the thing to go? Like, either you're gonna get more help with babysitting that's gonna, like, maybe come into the home and help you get your kids to bed so you can work the night shift, or you're gonna talk to your boss about working a different shift so it's more conducive.
I'm, well, thinking about it, and I guess I can attempt to try to talk to my boss about either reducing my hours or changing my schedule, because I just feel like it'd be difficult to get a babysitter to come into my house. I think it'd be more expensive.
Yeah, it would be.
So I just got nervous just thinking about talking to my boss. So I go, yeah, I can.
So how do you think that will go if you talk to him?
He's pretty firm, stern guy. Always has a serious face.
Okay.
So I don't even know how to approach him.
Right.
I don't know.
Do you think it would be appropriate to ask him if there's a way to request a shift? Like, what's the company's policy on that? Then it's not confrontational.
I guess I could. I don't even think there's like any specific way. I just remember a girl talking to him and they switched her shifts, or I don't even know how she did it, to be honest, but it didn't look like there was a specific form.
Okay. So what do you think your reaction will be if you go and ask and maybe he's distracted and is kind of like gruff with you or whatever, or like kind of brushes you off? What do you think your reaction will be?
I'd probably get upset because, you know, I'm used to wanting people to listen to me regardless of what they're doing. So I don't know. I guess that's what I'm afraid of, going back to my old self and just like, hey, listen, and just kind of get up in his face, and then I'll end up getting fired, and then I won't have a job, and it's just, yeah.
So how can you plan through that conversation? Because you can't, none of us can go through life avoiding conflict and confrontation, because eventually, like you're finding, there's going to be somewhere where by not confronting your boss or trying to talk to him about your shift, now it's creating conflict at home with kids and babysitting, but then it's also causing conflict with the added stress that's causing your coping skills or your ability to manage your cravings is starting to. Does that make sense? You're feeling overwhelmed with that, and so.
I don't know, because I think about it and of ways that I can talk to him or that I can possibly just ask him, but then I start stressing, about what if he doesn't, then I just gotta continue, and then I just figured I probably wasted my time. But then if he says no and I get upset and he fires me, and then I don't have a job.
So I guess the first step would be, those different scenarios. How are you going to keep yourself from getting upset? And thinking through, okay, so if he doesn't listen to me, what's going to be my next plan? Instead of, oh, I'm going to get upset and get fired, what's the plan that you're going to have in place if he doesn't listen? And then a plan that would be in place for, he said no. Because it seems like you would be able to ask a follow-up question like, well, is there a time frame when I can switch shifts, or no for this week, no next week, no forever? A way to do that without it being about you and him having a conflict and you getting fired. but that's gonna start with you deciding, okay, I'm gonna think this through, all the way through. Every response that you would have to any response that he has, right?
Maybe I can try to write out, either my questions or how I can say things to him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe I can attempt to do that. I think that might help.
Yeah. It could be, that could be something that would help, because I think it would cause you to really think through the process of talking with your boss and things like that. One of the other thoughts I had about this is just even an approach of just appealing to him as, this is causing an issue. Like, I'm there for you. I'm there for you as a worker. You know what I mean? But this is the issue it's causing me at home. So if it's possible, do you think that might diminish his reactions?
I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about him. I try to stay away from everybody. I just do when I get there. I go to work. I start doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and keep track of myself, and so that way I'm not in anybody's way or causing trouble for anybody, and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, so that way I don't get fired. Mm-hmm. It took me a while to get this job, and so now that I have a job, I'm trying to maintain it. So I guess I just don't want to put him on this spot where he can be against me and then find whatever reason to fire me after that.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like this job is what's keeping me being able to pay my rent, being able to put gas in my car and take my kids to school, or, and it's just, I don't know. I don't want to lose my job.
Right. So I think you've come up with a good plan. Maybe writing out what you would say, and thinking through that process. I think the most important is when you're writing out what you would say is maybe even, kind of like a sidebar of thoughts that you're having when you're writing it. Like, because if you're writing it out and you're starting to get upset, what are those thoughts you're having? Does that make sense? And I think if you could maybe do that this week, and maybe we can talk about it next week, bring it in, and let's talk about some of those thoughts that you have going on. Because you don't, it sounds like you're really motivated to keep your job, but you're torn with, old Wendy, that would, if someone is gonna not do what you need or not listen to you, then it's gonna end badly, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's just learning, okay, how do I get what I need to function in my family without losing your job?
Yeah.
So I think writing it out will be a good plan, and writing out some of those thoughts that you're having when you're writing out and that'll be the homework. I did want to go back to the loneliness piece that you brought up before. So I know about family, and I know about the friend. Is there any other relationships that you're...
No, I had a boyfriend. He didn't use as much, but he drank a lot.
Okay.
So, while I was at the beginning of my treatment, I knew I had to, he ended up going to jail, and then I just kind of lost contact with him and reconnected after a while, but then it's just, I don't know, I guess things don't really work out because I was starting to understand what I needed to do, mm-hmm. the importance of my kids and me being there for my kids, and I just realized that he was unhealthy for me.
Right. So
he was only the support I have. I don't know, I think he's doing well. I haven't really talked to him, but I think he's sober, but I don't know. I guess that's somebody I can try to look at and talk to.
I guess, the hard thing with that is that, you guys knew each other when you were using, and you're not sure if he's clean right now.
I don't have anybody else. I have my mom, my dad, but, it's just, I don't have time to even go out. I just work, my kids, the next day, my kids, and then, even the days off, doing laundry and doing stuff, and so it's just like I don't know. This really feels like I don't have time for
anything else.
Mm-mm.
And do you think changing the shift at work to maybe a day shift would help with some of that too? Having time for more activities.
It would free up my afternoons. I mean, when I was working the day shift, I was able, like, we would go to the park sometimes, and sometimes we would just go get an ice cream dollar menu,
right.
You know. And so that's kind of the stuff that I find myself remember doing with my kids. But it's just lately, like this, I've been in this shift for like a month and a half, I think. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. It's just don't really have time.
Yeah. And so I think, just going back to that shift, it kind of seems to center around that overwhelming feeling, like you were trying to be proactive with staying busy and helping with the loneliness to help with the cravings and things. But now it seems like it's causing more stress, and I think that's going to be an important part to work on. And I really respect the fact that you know that about yourself, that you're going to get upset.
Yeah, it took me a long time to even recognize that I'm easily angered. I get mad, even with my kids. Sometimes I have to just like step back and be like, I gotta go for a little bit and just,
And that's when you would typically use is those times of anger, or those times of like, okay, I've got to come down from this.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, but I mean, I try to use the skills that I learned and just continue to use them. But I mean, it's just lately, it's just been like, I feel like they don't work.
Okay. So, I think we're on a good track as far as helping to reduce some of that overwhelmed and stress feeling. Number one is going to be that connection with your best friend. Trying to connect with her once a week, however you're going to do it. And don't cause yourself more stress by disclosing stuff unless you feel like you need to. But I mean, let's just keep that where it's at. And then the second thing is, writing out different ways that you can talk to your boss. And I'm interested to know like what you're thinking that are those upset or angry feelings. Like when you're thinking like, oh, I'm going to tell him this, and you start thinking about what if he says this, right? And then you're instantly going to get pissed off in your mind, and you're just writing it out. It hasn't even happened yet. So make sure you take time to think about, what am I really upset about? What is it? So we can talk about those things. And then I'm not sure about the boyfriend thing, or connecting with him.
I guess I can hold that off for a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're lonely. I understand that feeling, and it seems like it's just you and your kids against the world. But where, when you're sitting here telling me and talking about the coping skills not working all the time, that's concerning, But again, I think you just understanding your anger and stuff like that, and knowing that that's tied to you using, I think that's a huge step, huge piece in your recovery. I think, that's a good thing for us to work on. So does that sound fair? So you understand your homework for next week?
Yeah, I'll try to think about some things and then write them down and bring them to you and see what you think.
Okay. And you'll talk with your friend?
Yes, I will. I'll probably try to text her sometime this week.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks.